All
I've been
right.
texting with her. She's who I wanted to invite when you were recording.
Hello, everybody who's made it thus far. Make sure your mics are off. That way I don't hear 50, almost 50 different families all over each other.
No, don't tap.
Yeah, you're, oh, wait.
Cool. How is everybody doing? Thumbs up, good? Good. Excited for the season ahead of us? Yeah. Should be fun. We get to travel a little bit again. Yeah, hopefully better than last year. I'm looking forward to it. Cool. Where I'm going to open up my PowerPoint presentation and we'll start this. Let's see. There we go. All right, present. Wonderful. 6:01. We have 32 participants. That's a good bulk of everybody. The beginning of this isn't super detailed, so we'll just get rolling on this, try and make it kind of short and sweet and get to some dinner because I'm hungry personally. All right, so Team Summit, Colorado, Big Mountain, also known as Freeride, welcome. Think about 20 of the 45 athletes are returning from a previous year. And the other 25 are either coming from Free Ski Devo or Alpine or are just straight up brand new to the club. So welcome, especially to our new folks. The people that have been around, you know the spiel with all this, but it's still good to see and good to watch and good to listen. All right. What is Big Mountain, also known as Freeride? You guys can go ahead and read through that, but in my own words, you know, this sport kind of gave me refuge from racing. I raced for a long time, up until I was 17, and then I made the switch to Big Mountain my senior year of high school, and it basically gave me an opportunity to kind of do what I wanted and take the skills that I had learned already and kind of have a format to excel in, basically. I had a little bit of competition success, but inevitably I was kind of over skiing for other people. But you know, it's just really an opportunity for us to go out and have fun on the mountain every day. And there's not a course that we have to ski on every given day or on any given day. We get to use the entire mountain, whether it's, you know, Sundance here this weekend, or it's the steep gullies or Peak Six Senses, or, you know, in the middle of the winter. So, yeah, that's my explanation. We ski fast, we jump off things, as safe as humanly possible. Definitely as safe as possible. Next slide is, so there's a fair amount of confusion about this right off the bat a lot of the times, but this is how the IFSA competitions are broken down into as far as age group categories. And so the group that you'll be competing in is dependent on your birthday as of December 31st. So in like a month and a half. I think, unless the form that I saw was wrong, like Brecken, for example, his birthday is the 31st of December and he turns 12. Therefore, he will be competing in the 12 to 14 age division. If there's any questions about that, just reach out to me via email and I can kind of clarify, but that's just going into the rest of this because a lot of this orientation is pretty competition focused for the most part, because there are so many questions that revolve around that. So U12, 12 to 14, 15 to 18. Why Team Summit? There are, you know, there are clubs across the state, country that you guys have options. Keely, can you turn your mic up? Okay. Keely. All right, there we go. All right, why Team Summit? We have an awesome group of coaches. Always have, always will. That's kind of the basis of this program is the coaches and the experience that they bring to the program and, kind of what they can pass down to the kids. Great training opportunities. We have 4 mountains, Keystone, A Basin, Copper, Breck. We don't go to Keystone for hopefully glaringly obvious reasons for our program. But we also have access to, something like the Woodward Barn, which is incredible to have that in our backyard. And, there's rumors swirling around that Copper might be getting an airbag in a couple of years. So it's all that stuff. We have so many great opportunities right in our backyard. Athletes come from a lot of different backgrounds. That kind of goes back to, my story of switching from Alpine. But we get kids that switch from Park and Pipe, from Moguls, from Alpine. And then also just where where everybody comes from. I'd say we're probably split about 50-50, Summit County locals versus folks from the Front Range, which is awesome. And then we even have a couple families that, are coming in for the winter and they live in an entirely different state. They're coming to Team Summit for a reason. Proven track record of producing world-class athletes. We've now graduated, I think 2 athletes to the World Tour. No, 3, sorry. Ian Borgeson, George Rodney, and Griffin Mahler. That's pretty big. We're right up there with all the other clubs. There might be one other club in the country that's maybe put 4 on the tour, but it's pretty impressive to do that, to send kids to the world stage once they graduate from the junior categories. And then on that note, my goal has never been competition success necessarily. It's always more so making sure the kids, make it through their senior year and they still want to ski. They still want to have fun. They're not burnt out. That's like, if kids are burning out, that's a failure on my part. I take that a lot more seriously than winning a competition. Then at the core of it, we as a staff enjoy what we do and revel in the opportunity to impact the lives of youth. And that's really the most core point of all this. From a coaching standpoint, we love to go out and ski. And more importantly, we want to make sure that, next generation, you guys, the athletes, learn from the lessons that we've had thus far. I mean, I'm only 27, but I feel like I've got a fair amount to share thus far in my life and hand that down. Okay, meet your coaches. So this part, I would like, we'll go through this list, and if, I'll call you out. If you just want to hop on your microphone and introduce yourself, maybe how many years you've been with Team Summit and kind of what your background in skiing is. So Max, would you go ahead and start us off?
Sure thing. I'm Max Dennell. I grew up skiing in Pennsylvania, a little bit of racing background, and then just ended up at the Basin and happened upon these guys and have been enjoying it for like 6 years now as a coach.
Yeah. Max and I get the fortune of working together in the summer as well. So we have fun all year long. Next we have Mr. Austin.
Hey, my name is Austin Kinzer. I grew up skiing Snoqualmie Pass in Washington, and then went to CU for undergrad, competed on the free skiing team there. That's how I got my intro to Big Mountain. And I'm still competing FWQs, and this will be my 3rd season coaching with Team Summit. So looking forward to it.
Ooh, all right. Then we have 3 rookies, more or less, kind of, sort of. Nikki less so, but I'll introduce Walker first.
Hi, everyone. My name is Walker Lutz. I'm from West Virginia. I'm a little ski resort there, Timberline Mountain. Both my parents worked there growing up, so I started skiing as soon as I could walk. And I raced until I was 18, and then I've had various jobs around the ski industry. I've been an instructor for a few years. My last job was working at Keystone. I worked there for a total of 14 years. I built the park and pipe there for 10 years. And then most recently, I was a lift mechanic for the last 3 years. And This will be my first year coaching with Team Summit, but I'm really excited to be coaching Big Mountain. Some of my bigger hobbies are touring and snowmobiling. So ski a ton of backcountry and a ton of big mountains. So I thought between my touring and backcountry experience and my terrain park experience, it'd be an awesome job for me. So really stoked to be coaching the kids this year. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, Walker and I first met through snowmobiling, so there's a connection there. I'm also a big snowmobiler in the winter. Next, we'll introduce Nikki.
Sorry, I just got off work. It's struggling a little bit, but hi, I'm Nikki. I've been skiing, oh my gosh, my whole life. I've been a part of Team Summit since I was 5 years old. I started off racing. I raced for about 11 years, and then I switched over to Big Mountain, and I competed in Big Mountain for 4 or 5 years. And then I coached 1 year intro to free ski, and I did that. And then, yeah, now I'm here and I'm coaching you guys, and I'm super stoked about it. So, yep, that's all.
Awesome. And then last but not least, besides myself, we have Mr. Ryan Tagawa.
Hey everyone, I'm Ryan Tagawa. I grew up in Big Mountain. I've been competing since I was 11. So I've been competing for about 12 years in Big Mountain. I grew up in a skiing winter park and I actually coached there a few seasons ago, but I decided to drive a little further up I-70 and join you all at Summit. I've always admired you guys' programs and I have a lot of friends who've come from the program. So I'm really excited to be coaching back at it. And yeah, I'm looking forward for the season.
Awesome. Yeah, Ryan. I think Ryan's the first coach we've ever poached, quote unquote, from another club. So happy to have him on board with this massive crew. And then last but not least, once again, I am Daniel Mcfadden. I'm the head Big Mountain coach. Similar to Nikki, my parents put me in Team Summit when I was 5 years old, and I skied all the way up to my senior year of high school. Went to the University of Utah and got my degree in exercise and sports science, and kind of competed and coached in between, and then inevitably moved back in 2017. So all said and done, I think I'm up to 22 years with Team Summit, which is kind of crazy, but it's awesome. No place I'd rather be. All right, what do we have next? So quick little blurb about training. For those of you that have come from, you know, Free Ski Devo or another program, whatever that might be. We train at A Basin, Bracken Copper less so than A Basin. But I hope to change that this year. I'd like to spend more time at Copper specifically to utilize their terrain park more so, because as it turns out, A Basin is a terrifying place to catch air. And I think, you know, a terrain park is an awesome place to kind of get comfortable with all of that. You know, a normal day of training for us is, it's early season anyway. We group up, I'd say throughout the day, 3 to 5 runs of kind of fundamentals work. You know, really just super simple stuff, trying to set a solid foundation for the rest of the year. And then the rest of it's just kind of free skiing. And actually, my next slide will be another part of our early season training. But in general, with the larger crew, typically we've all met at the bottom of the poly chair at A Basin. I kind of want to split that up a little bit more this year to draw some lines a little bit more so. And keep in mind, I don't have solidified groups necessarily. Like, any one athlete will not ski with one coach for the entire year. Things kind of move around. But, you know, more or less, this is our rough guide. And unless, you know, I differentiate otherwise, basically more or less plan on this. So this season, I'd like the U12 group to meet at the top of the Black Mountain Express at the Black Mountain Lodge. Whoever will be coaching that group that day will meet the athletes up there. You'll probably run into each other at the bottom, at the base. But I'd like that group to meet there and do their warm up. The 12 to 14 age group meeting at the bottom of the poly chair once it opens. But for the meantime, meet at the top of the Black Mountain Express, same thing, Black Mountain Lodge. that base area can just get kind of crowded. 15 to 18, we'll meet at the top of the poly chair at the designated meeting time. So, if we're meeting at 9, that means at the top of the chair at 9 for that group. That doesn't mean getting on the chair at 9. Copper and Breck, we'll keep it a little bit more tight knit for the most part, and then differentiate from there. But Copper, we'll meet at the bottom of the Super B chair. A couple different options to get there. First would be parking in the Alpine lot and taking the shuttle to the base of the Super B chair. Alternatively, you can walk from the Alpine lot. It's like a 6 or 7 minute walk. And if you're feeling really bold, you can take the bus to Center Village, then actually skate over to the Super B chair. There's a little cut through there. And then Breck, we will meet at the base of Peak 7 unless determined otherwise. Breck is hands down the mountain I'm least familiar with. So if we end up over there later in this season, then we determine a better meeting spot, I'll communicate that. But plan on that. Normally the move for that is either getting dropped off there if you're a parent driving your athlete, or park in the gondola lot or the satellite lot, which is free. But in any case, take that gondola out of town. I believe it's the second terminal, because the first terminal is Shock Hill with a bunch of really big houses. And there's no skiing in Shock Hill, as it turns out. Okay, this next slide is something that if you've been in the program, you're very familiar with, but if you were in a different program, you might have seen it. But this is something that's actually become kind of key to our relationship with A-Basin in particular. We haven't done it at other mountains as much, just because they're kind of less open to the opportunity for whatever reason. But I wanted to include this slide because I always get pouty face at the beginning of the year, and I just kind of wanted to squash that right off the bat. But in any case, so we've partnered with A-Basin Ski Patrol to do a ton of sidestepping for them. And if you're new to it, it's exactly as it sounds. You sidestep down the mountain, and the goal is to compact that snow so that the next wind event or snow event kind of fills in everything, and that allows A-Basin to open terrain a lot sooner. With their staff being as limited as it is, the help of coaches and athletes, especially this year on a full day, we're a group of 51. That is a massive amount of work that can get done with us. And we don't do it all day. It's 1 or 2 runs. Then the bright side is we always get to, reap the benefits of it a little bit. We get to go ski some good snow that the general public does not get the opportunity to. The slide kind of highlights some, the benefits of it in my eyes, but I just wanted to throw that in there. And that last bullet point, if you have a trash pair of skis, don't be afraid to bring those up for some sidestepping, even if that means bringing 2 pairs up for the day. It doesn't hurt. I hate to see you guys brand new skis and then I'm like, all right, we're going sidestepping, and just thrashing those. And obviously, if you're not fortunate enough to have a couple pairs, we can always direct you to spots that are going to be holding more snow and you're not going to be stomping across rocks. But I just wanted to include that in there. Let's see. Okay, this is the part that the competitions, this is like maybe the primary purpose of this orientation, because I get so many questions about this. And the most I can get out right now, the better. Obviously, I'm always open to emails and questions and whatnot, but this is an opportunity for me to kind of get all this information out all at once. So for those of you that are new, Big Mountain Competitions, and I guess I should preface this by saying that athletes are not required to compete necessarily, but it is highly recommended as this is a competitive program. But in any case, so these competitions, they are sanctioned by IFSA, International Free Skiers and Snowboarders Association. There are 2 levels of events. There's regional and national. Regional events being within the Rocky Mountain region. And in a couple slides, I'll show you the events that we will be going to. And then national events are basically a higher tier harder to get into, tougher competition. You get athletes from all over the country going to any given national event. So yeah, I'll leave it at that for now. Back protectors are mandatory in training and competition. This is a rule that IFSA put in 2 or 3 seasons ago. In competition, they will check, so you do definitely need one. I know Shred, the company Shred, sponsors IFSA, and you can get 20% off back protector through them if you go to the freeskiers.org website. And then they're mandatory in training for the reason that they do kind of change your mechanics while skiing. And it's very weird to go from skiing without a back protector to going to competing in one. So I'm not going to whack you on the back every day to see if you're wearing a back protector, but it's for everybody's benefit, not to mention the safety aspect of it. Like, everywhere we ski is very rocky, and if you land in the wrong spot on a rock on your back or a log or whatever it is, it's not good. And we can eliminate those issues by wearing a back protector. Okay, next point. Athletes are allowed to compete in a maximum of 6 events total, 3 national and 3 regional events. Best 2 of 3 results from each series count towards total points. So that point is mainly geared to the athletes that will compete in the 6 events. I sent out a spreadsheet a few days ago with I do it every year and kind of ask everybody to fill in what competitions they want to go to, just guessing. And in that document, I included rough guidelines based on where athletes might be in their experience level. So please take those to heart. I did set those for a reason. There's no reason a 12-year-old first year in this program should be doing the maximum number of events. At that level, the focus is much more on having fun and getting a solid background. Because like I said earlier, the whole burnout thing, if that happens, I get really bummed. And if you're maxing out that competition schedule at such a young age, chances are drastically greater that that's going to happen. Then last but not least, the junior national championships are in Big Sky, Montana in the middle of April. That is not something to be super worried about right now by any means. Okay, registration. This is probably the crux of big mountain competition skiing. It is definitely the largest growing sport within skiing. And as a result, competitions are hard to get into. For regional events, there is no seeding or anything. It's just open registration. It's first come, first serve. This year, the competition registration will all be in the 2nd and 3rd week of December, or 1st and 2nd week. They've released the national event registration dates, waiting to hear on regional events. But, that's really, it's tough. I'll let someone speak to it at the end of this that's had experience with some of the families that have kind of gone through this over the years. But in any case, the first step is to purchase your IFSA license from freeskiers.org. It's one of the tabs up top. I think if you go to membership and then athletes and coaches, and you can either choose a 1 competition license, which is, I wouldn't recommend that because it's good for 1 competition and you do not get any priority access into anything. But everybody should be purchasing the $105 12 to 18 license. And if you're U12, it's $45. Listen to this presentation. That part's more about kind of, these are the events that we're going to go to. The thing with these competitions is athletes have to have a registered coach with them. So if there's an event that you want to go to that's not on this list coming up, we need to have a serious talk, because if you just show up and there's not a coach there, the athlete's not going to be able to ski. You have to be on top of it. I'll send out more information as it kind of becomes available as far as when registration is. But it's one of those things you have to be on your computer before it even opens, and then you're just clicking buttons, hoping to be the lucky winner. I know it's stressful, but it works, I promise. Okay, so this is for those of you that have been around once again and have your licenses and whatnot, you've probably seen this already for national events. So pre-qualified registration, that's for the athletes that have earned the pre-qualification status already. We have 3 of them this year, so good job to those 3 for doing great last year. Team quota registration, team quota spots are given to me based on club size, and I give those out at my own discretion, basically. Don't count on those. And then open registration, so that's when that's kind of the clicking fest, but December 6th through 9th, that's kind of the dates that everybody should be keeping in mind. This is the national series schedule. I have highlighted the national events that we will be attending in red. Telluride, Taos, Alyeska, and Big Sky. For those of you that will be doing national events, and a lot of the stuff is oftentimes handled better over email because it's very specific to each athlete. But I just wanted to put this information out in front of everybody. Yeah, those are the events we're going to, period. That's just recapping those events. As far as regional events go, we will be doing the Copper event. That should say February 5th, not January 5th. Taos, the Taos regional, which is immediately before the national event. The A Basin event, February 17th. Crested Butte, which is split into 2 days. The 12 to 14 age group goes on the 10th, 15 to 18 goes on the 11th. And then BRAC is the same thing. 19th is 12 to 14, 20th is 15 to 18. I know there's some questions about like Vail, for example. If you know, things like that, let's have a conversation and we can discuss it. But those are the ones that I've picked out for sure. For U12 competitions, I believe there are 6 available this year, and there are 7 U12 athletes. So I've always approached the U12 competitions as let's come together as a group and figure out which ones we all want to go to. I picked out these 4. There's no cap on how many events U12s can do, but I don't think there's any reason to do all 6 events necessarily. So I picked out Steamboat, Monarch, Vail, and Crested Butte. So that'll be a separate email with our U12 families, and we'll all discuss and figure out a plan who wants to go where, because that group in general is normally pretty cohesive, or has been anyway. So I'd like to keep that going because it's the base of this program. So this is another one that I've gotten a lot of questions about for our travel. Team lodging and competition travel, and yeah. Logic, I'll just go ahead and read through these. I got a little fired up writing this because it's been really frustrating trying to I'm already looking at booking places, and these towns that we're looking at going to are already almost booked out. So it's been a stress in the back of my head. But in any case, lodging and transportation will only be provided for national level events. It is not mandatory to stay with the team. So that means, you know, like the Crested Butte Regional, there will not be lodging and travel. Travel, lodging, and food will be billed separately prior to the event. For those of you that have been around, it's always come after, but this year it'll come before the billing. And I'll send those numbers out so nobody's blindsided. This is an important one. A negative COVID test and vaccination is required to travel and lodge with the team. We have little at-home COVID test kits that we can distribute for athletes to take. I think it's probably 72 hours in advance, but there's no need to go out and go to a center necessarily. So we do have those at our disposal, but we will be checking those because the last thing we want is an entire group to get shut down at an event. That would be a bummer. For those of you that are new and, you know, are considering something like the lodging and travel, this is kind of the disclaimer. A high level of independence is recommended as athletes will cook, clean, and live together for several days under the supervision of coaches. Sorry, my throat's dry. So that's a big one. When we travel to these events, the coaches are not, it's not a camp necessarily. We will do everything to make sure the athletes are successful. But it's very much, it's almost a college experience. Not saying you have to be college age, obviously, but you know, everybody's coming together as a group. You know, sitting and pouting in the room isn't acceptable. You know, excuses of, well, I don't know how to cook. That's what these trips are about, is learning these life skills outside of skiing. This next point, due to restrictions, gone are the days of fitting as many athletes as we can into a rental. For this reason, prices will increase from previous years to provide all athletes interested with appropriate accommodations. That's just a cold hard fact, unfortunately. I've been to several competitions that I've watched 3 athletes completely willingly cram themselves into a king bed. But we can't do that anymore, you know. Can still go 2 to a king, 2 to a queen if we're feeling comfortable with each other, we're good friends, but you know, realistically, we're going to have to book bigger stuff, and as such, costs are going to go up. This last point kind of goes back to what I was saying, but it's not a sleepover party. Athletes are expected to be mature, respectful, helpful, and keep up with missed schoolwork while traveling for competitions. That's a big one. The school thing especially gets lost in translation in the middle of the winter. Some, you know, are the oldest athletes that are going to be traveling a fair amount. They're going to miss a good month of school this year. So staying on top of that, and us as coaches will always kind of promote getting schoolwork done, because the worst thing is coming back to 5 different tests and not studying for any of them. Speaking from experience, because I did that several times and it wasn't good. Let's see. That's that. Athlete safety. These are just some stuff that, you know, coaches have to go through, and I just kind of wanted to provide that in addition to a resource that we have at VSO. So all coaches have to go through the Safe Sport certificate, which is basically, you know, appropriate behavior with youth athletes. Even an 18-year-old athlete would have to take this course as well. If you're interested in what that is exactly, you can just go ahead and Google Safe Sport. But every coach in the United States has to take it, no matter if it's soccer, baseball, badminton. It's mandated by the US. Concussion awareness, we are all certified to recognize and identify concussions. That's one of our biggest things as coaches. If an athlete takes a fall, often the first question we ask is, how's your head? How does your head feel? And I'm thirsty again. And as athletes, it's your responsibility to give us, what's the word? Not correct, truthful answers. The brain is one thing that we have to protect. I've unfortunately had way too many concussions, and I've probably done things while I've had concussions that I shouldn't have been doing. So if a coach asks you, the athlete, how your head is, how it feels and whatnot, be truthful, because yeah, you might be missing a week of skiing, but you know, at least you still have your brain. Yeah, that's a big one for us. So Rachel Freeman at Vail Summit Orthopedics, she's a certified athletic trainer. She is our liaison between Team Summit and Vail Summit Orthopedics. And so if any athlete has an incident on hill, they can schedule an appointment with Vail Summit Orthopedics at no cost for an evaluation for whatever it might be. You know, it might be a bump or a bruise, or it might be, oh my God, my arm is in half, unfortunately. But you can go in there, get it checked out, and they'll give you the care that you need, free of charge. It's an awesome partnership that we have with them. And then also, I forgot to mention this part. So December 4th, I'm still working through the kinks with it, but we're going to schedule an impact test. And for those of you that don't know, impact testing is basically a baseline to measure off of if an athlete's suspected of having a concussion. They're highly recommended. They're not required necessarily, but you know, it makes identifying concussions so much easier, and the return to play process so much easier. But basically what that'll be is the morning of December 4th. For those of you that don't have impact baseline tests, like you to bring in a computer, and they'll take you to a website and whatnot. It's about 45 minutes. But as I iron out the kinks in that, I'll send out an email with the details of that one. Then the last part I will bring up is Avalanche Awareness. This is something, even though we're skiing, even though we're skiing inbounds, we talk a lot, us coaches talk a lot about avalanches and avalanche safety and, being in avalanche terrain. Because it's a passion of a lot of ours, just kind of understanding and being in the backcountry. So we do talk a lot about this. We have some scheduled, or not scheduled, but we'll do some beacon training. And in addition, we'll have Reed Ryan over at Copper helping us with some snow safety stuff, talking with the kids and whatnot. I got an email the other day from a parent asking about Avalanche Courses. If that's something that, athletes you're interested in, please, either parent or athlete, send me an email and I can send you links to everything, and point you in the right direction anyway. So that's what that is, ARE, as the Avalanche Institute that holds Avalanche courses basically. And then this last one, Know Before You Go. It's a very basic video series, kind of talking about the steps to take before you travel in the backcountry, but by no means is it a substitute for an avalanche course. Like I said, we talk about it all winter. I think it's super interesting, and just good to think about. Let's see. So this was a slide I put in last year in the midst of COVID, and at the time it was more geared to, be patient, like us coaches being patient with kids, because we all know everybody's going through a lot, but also parents and kids being patient with coaches and everybody else, or if it's just someone in the lift line. But I decided to keep it in here because it's just as true this year. Be patient, and it goes even past just communicating with each other, even as far as like skills acquisition goes on snow. Be patient. You're not going to strap into your skis the first day and go and do a dub cork 10. No one can do that on our team, but you get the point. Everybody is on their own path of, skiing and getting better and whatnot. And so if, you're feeling beat down or whatever, just be patient, trust the process, listen to your coaches. We're here to help. And then also be patient with your coaches, and we'll be patient with the kids and all that. But I decided to keep it in there for that reason. Okay, so before I go ahead and really open it up to questions, I just want to look through the chat and see anything that anybody's typed. Question: will the 12 to 14s have an opportunity to level up and ski with the 15 to 18s? Yes. Yeah, definitely. So they'll still be mixing between 15 to 18, 12 to 14, even U12s. Like we'll have days when the 12 to 14s are skiing with 15 to 18s, and 15 to 18s are even skiing with U12s. Because I think it's good experience for everybody. But in general, there's no hard line necessarily, and the 12 to 14-year-olds are just as good as the 15 to 18-year-olds. It's really just a maturity difference sometimes. Hopefully that kind of answered that. How are lunches going to be handled this year at A base? And that's a question I've gotten a lot as well. So last year we ate lunches exclusively outside. That was fun, challenging, interesting. I ate a lot of snow and a lot of meals that should have been warm but were cold. But to answer that question, it sounds like we will be able to eat inside this year, in the A-frame. But I'd like to, on days when it's nice, stick to eating outside to limit our impact on the lodges. But if it's cold and snowy and stormy, yeah, we're going inside for sure. But as always, I always recommend bringing a lunch. And yeah, and I think Copper, we should be eating inside as well. Breck, I don't know where we eat there, but we'll figure it out. Will we be wearing masks outside? No masks. Masks are not required indoors or outdoors. If athletes want to wear masks, they're more than welcome to, but it is not mandatory by any means. All right, who has questions that wants to speak up? Maybe they're a little more detailed.
Daniel, if you have the time, would you mind just elaborating on how transportation billing works?
Yep. So for these events, when we are traveling to a national event, for example, we have a whole spreadsheet basically that I will go ahead and fill out ahead of time. You know, we have a certain cost per mile, and then lodging costs, what it does. Like I said, that's probably going to go up a little bit. And I do my best attempt at estimating what the food bill is going to be. I put that all into a spreadsheet plus a 5% admin fee for our lovely office folks. And then it'll spit out a number for me, and then I will send that out. But it's all very calculated. It's not me randomly pulling numbers out of thin air. We are a nonprofit, and we do want to keep this sport accessible to others as much as possible while not cutting corners.
And then I guess kind of follow up to that, if I was just traveling with like if I want to just book my own lodging and travel independently or travel with my family, do I get billed for that or no? Like I'm not taking advantage of transportation or lodging.
Yeah, so if that's the case, if athletes and families choose to do the travel on their own, you will not be billed in excess for anything. Competition coaching is included in the tuition, so there are no other fees outside of that. This only pertains to athletes that will be taking advantage of the team lodging and travel.
What about for additional airfare fees, Daniel, for coaches?
Or airfare fees? Okay, so let's take Alyeska for an example. We have a lot of interest in that event. So the airfare fees for the coaches will be tacked or will be added on to the billing for that event, spread evenly amongst all athletes that attend. So that is a good question. For events that we fly to, coaches' airfare does go into that billing. Let's see here. Will volunteers be needed at competitions? Yes. Yes. The A Basin event. So one's to definitely mark on the calendar. As you guys hopefully know or see, when you pay for your tuition, there's a $300 VSF credit, and basically that $300 can be earned back by gaining the volunteer hours. I forget what it is exactly. Phil can definitely give a better number on that one, but yes, our events really rely on our volunteers. And you know, a couple weeks beforehand, I'll normally send out an email with instructions on how to register for different events and what the various volunteer positions.
Yeah, I'd be happy to speak to VSF really fast if that's okay, Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. So VSF, I believe everybody here is in a competition program. So it was $300. The VSF requirement is 30 hours. So it's basically $10 an hour. And then at the end of the season, we will give we give you the option to either take that money back in check form. You can, or once you've worked it off, you can either get a check back, or you can roll it into the following season. Or if you're feeling extremely generous, we would definitely appreciate the donation option as well. Like Daniel said, we are a nonprofit, and this money does not just sit there and pad Daniel's bonus at the end of the year. If that was the case, we would all be in way nicer houses. Instead, it goes directly back into helping keep all of these programs affordable, which I understand skiing and snowboarding is never really terribly affordable, but we do have some of the lowest program costs, especially compared to our competitors. So that basically speaks to that piece. And once we have the full list of needs in, then you'll be able to find that or all VSF opportunities on your CampMinder account. That's the account that you use to register. You do not also need to stay just within the Big Mountain community. We have fundraising opportunities to raise money for scholarships. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. If you have not applied for a scholarship, please do so again next year. The deadline, I believe, was October 15th. So, but we are looking for people to help us out with our annual ski ball, help out at film premieres, things like that, that all raise money for our scholarship program. That's basically what my department does. We exist to give money to all of you. So thank you.
Can you talk a little bit about Friday training?
Yes, definitely. So Friday sorry, I'm on the move. I'll sit down here in a second. So Friday training, for those athletes that are in Summit County, you don't even have to be in Summit County, but so tuition for the U13 and U19 programs also includes one weekday. And that will start, typically it's Friday, and that will start after the first of the year. I know for your case, Holly will be taking the van. And so Joanna Snyder, who's our academic athlete coordinator, she will communicate with the school and make sure that schedules are all oriented and that Holly will get out of school. And then for anybody else who is interested in getting out early on Fridays, if you are in the Summit School District, please reach out to me. And I'll make sure that Joanna coordinates with you to get athletes out. But to repeat that, it starts after the first of the year, so 2022, second semester. I'm going to read a couple of these questions from the chat again. On the first day, will athletes need to bring their backpacks up to the top of Black Mountain Express? Yeah, I would plan on stashing backpacks at the top of Black Mountain, kind of next to the lodge. We'll find a good spot that's out of the way. But that is another good point. Athletes are expected to have backpacks with, extra gloves, extra layers, water, food, etc. On the hill with them. Let's see, what else do we have? I'll get to that. Any update on head pro forms? So the only information I know for those of you that have ordered skis through head is that the 170 lengths are delayed until early December. Other than that, I think the other lengths should be on schedule. And that actually brings me to another good point that I talked to Kian about. So Kian's son, Finn's new to our program. And this is a question for our athletes that have been on the team. If anybody has a pair of skis that still has bindings on them and like a 170, 175 length, would you send me a text or an email and plan on bringing those on Saturday for Kian to ski on, because he's waiting on a pair of head skis to come in. So if any of you guys that have, yes.
What size is his foot? Does anyone answer that?
Kian, I guess.
What are you, 25 and a half?
Yeah, 25.5.
25.5.
I have a pair of skis, but I'm unsure that they will go up that far.
Okay. Well, yours are you have markers though, right?
Yeah,
Okay. What size boot do you wear?
23.5.
Oh, they might be able to go up. Okay, good to know.
Thank
But
you, guys.
But I'm not going to be here this weekend. Sorry, forgot.
oh my god.
I mean, he's got some skis that we can deal with this weekend.
Okay. Well, okay, so that problem solved. Then I went on a crazy tangent. That's pretty typical for me. Information on Stevens Pass, Alaska. Stevens Pass is not in Alaska. Alyeska, Alaska. Information on that, it's national level event. I really only recommend it for athletes that have been in the program for at least a couple of years. I would highly recommend the Taos and Telluride national events over that Alyeska event right off the bat. But if you do want more information, please send me an email, and I've got a couple of emails I've already written up that I can forward, and we can discuss that one. Let's see. Whoa. Equipment check, first day to verify DIN and everything. If you have concerns, if the athlete has concerns, please just talk to the coach for the day and they can check it out. Otherwise, it's a lot to go through 45 pairs of skis. So if there are concerns there, coaches will take a look at it. Otherwise, it makes itself pretty apparent if the forward pressure isn't right or if the DIN's too low or too high. We can tell pretty quickly. So we normally handle that on a case-by-case basis. Any additional gear required besides skis, poles, helmet, and back brace, backpack for lunch and water? Nope. Skis, boots, poles, helmet, gloves, goggles, ski pants, pass, jacket, buff. That's my list I always go through. Yeah, there shouldn't be anything more than that. And this first weekend, everybody always forgets their stuff. It seems like, someone forgets a pair of pants, someone forgets their boots. So before you leave the house Saturday morning, go through that check, make sure you got all your gear. Are you using Team Snap for scheduling? We have not used Team Snap in the past. I'm not sure. I'll talk about that one first. So I have pretty much our entire training and competition calendar on the Team Summit website. So teamsummit.org, go to calendars in the upper right, click that, go down to free ski Big Mountain, and I have our training and competition schedule set. Other than that, I have not experimented using any apps. I typically send out any communication via email and go from there. I guess I don't totally understand that one. Will there be a BCA order or BCA team order or pro form? So last year that was going to be an opportunity, and then I went to go place an order and they were out of 80% of the items that we wanted to order. And so that never came to fruition. Quite frankly, I've got so much on my plate that I can't put that together. I know BCA does sponsor IFSA. So for athletes and families with that membership, you can, I believe you can get 20% off through the BCA website. So for athletes, families that need avalanche gear, beacon shovel probe, or a backpack for that matter, BCA is a great option for that. They give a discount for IFSA athletes. Let's see, mouth guard. You can bring a mouth guard if you want. They're not required, but if you want to ski with a mouth guard, you can. I don't think we'll have a back protector. That's fine. Just make sure you get one in the near future. Sunscreen in the backpack. Yep, sunscreen. I like to get burnt myself. Let's see. And then I had a couple direct ones. I don't want to read them out loud because they were direct, and just make sure I'll cover all this stuff. So this is another question about airfare. So let's take Alaska, for example, once again. If athlete and family travels up to Alaska and they do not stay with the team, they will still be billed for a portion of the airfare. It would come out to something like $30 to $50. But that gets spread amongst everybody for the airfare part. If you need, you can also, Outdoorly. Phil just wrote that. So Outdoorly and even Expert Voice, they're pro form websites, and they should come with your USSA license if you have one. But like Phil also noted in the chat section, you can list Phil at teamsummit.org as your supervisor, quote unquote, and you can get 30% off through Outdoorly. So maybe take note of those two websites, Outdoorly and Expert Voice, because you can get pretty good deals on a lot of different equipment through those websites.
Yeah. really quickly on those pro forms, if you have a USASA membership, I know you get access to expert voice. For the outdoorly component, I'm not entirely sure how well that works. I know I've registered, or anybody with a teamsummit.org address, I know can purchase or gets access to those pro forms. But I've also noticed that my personal Gmail did not really get drastically affected by that. But if need be, this is a small group. I'm happy to list myself as your supervisor and confirm that everybody here is good to go with that. But yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Another one, do you need Avalanche gear? No, it isn't. Avalanche gear Beacon Shovel Probe is not required. It's recommended for the 15 to 18-year-olds to have a set, but it is not required. All right, I know that was a lot of information that I kind of just threw at everybody. And I know it was very a good portion of that was kind of competition focused. But I just want to go back over training. We have a ton of fun on any given day. I take it I'm a mixture between serious and lightheartedness. You know, when coaches are talking, I expect full attention from athletes engaged and listening, but at the same time, we're still going to go out and have fun. All I ask from athletes is that you give it your best on any given day, any given run, and try and make yourself better at what we're practicing. Obviously, this early season, we'll take it slow, kind of get our feet underneath us. But you know, soon enough, it'll be January and we'll be skiing some more fun terrain. So let's see. Oh, that is another good question. Thank you. Generally, what time do you wrap up with training days? So this
Two
first
questions, Coach. If I just 2 questions before you wrap it up. The hours for skiing is 9 to 2. Did I read that correctly for right now? And
Yep.
Is that going to lengthen as later in the season as you open more runs?
Yes, so that's what I was going to get to.
Okay.
So this first weekend and probably the next weekend, we'll be doing 9 to 2. With the reason being, we have very limited terrain options. And even on these afternoons, I've been skiing with the academy crew. We get about 2 hours on snow and we're about out of options of things to do. And this being a competitive program, I really want to have the most use of our time on snow together. And when we drag it out super long with very minimal terrain, totally lose interest in the kids and things go haywire. But as more terrain opens, we'll probably move to something more what we've done in years past, is stagger Saturdays and Sundays. So Sundays get out a little bit earlier. But I would basically plan on in the middle of winter going from 9 to 3 on any given day, for the weekends, that is.
Copy. Thanks. And second question for, I think it's Phil, the volunteer coordinator. Could we get a schedule of not just events for the Big Mountain, but you said for everybody else, if we're hanging out up there, something we could volunteer? When can we get that just for making plans? Besides just a couple weeks before. A couple weeks before is tough.
Yeah. Daniel, is it okay if I share my screen for a second?
Yes.
Sweet. All right. I'm pausing you. We're going to teamsummit.org. I would assume everybody can see my page right now. Yeah, we're going to stay on the page. So this is super straightforward. Everybody's relatively familiar with this website, teamsummit.org. It has all of the resources, or most of the resources. We're shooting for all. But if you click up there, it'll bring you to summitcolorado.campintouch. I'm assuming everybody is still there with me. And then you basically log in like you normally would. And then everybody should be familiar with this. This is where you went to go sign your waivers. This is where you sign up for different programs, other things like camps, yada, yada, yada. You can update your address information, login information, and then there's this volunteer tab. You click on that. And once again, this is an account that I use for external tracking. So you can see I'm currently at 35 hours. That means I've had 35 hours of volunteer service. Currently, you can see what your history is right there. If you want to sign up for anything, so a good example there would be Skee Ball 2021. If you wanted to help out with data entry, you can see November 12th, there's one position available, but that one's already passed. 17th, which was yesterday, that one's already been claimed, but November 19th, November 19th, you can see there is one position available. If you want to volunteer for that position, what you can do is just go right over here to the volunteer tab, click on that. You can select your person. Instead of it saying events volunteer, second parent, events volunteer, guest volunteer, what you do is just choose your name. Anybody who is 14 or older can volunteer. So just select whoever it is that's volunteering. Miss Kayla, thank you so much for your help at the Get Stoked film premiere. That was super rad, and everybody loved you being there. They're like, dude, we want Kayla back. So honestly, put your athletes to work there, parents. Select that, hit save, and then you can see now you've got an upcoming position. This specific position is super flexible. Let's say you accidentally went to 4 hours and you just got super carried away with it. Just shoot me an email, events@teamsummit.org, and I will adjust your hours on the back end. If for whatever reason, you can see like with inventory support, I believe that's where it goes. No. Let's say you signed up a long time ago. You completely forgot that you wanted to sign up for this position on the 19th, day before. You say, hey, I am extremely sorry. I did not mean, or I double booked myself for that day. I can't make it. Not a problem. We totally understand. Just shoot me an email letting me know, and then you can always go into your account and just hit that little X button and go, yes, let's delete that. So you'll see your total balance just listed right up here. If there are any issues that you notice, please, please, please email events@teamsummit.org. So that's how VSF works. As you can see, we have quite a bunch up. I do not have any of the IFSA events up yet, but that is very much on my agenda to chat with Daniel about.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Someone talking?
I was going to ask a question about jackets, but then I decided to be shy. What's the story on jackets?
Bill?
All right. These are all awesome questions. So I legitimately hate saying these kinds of things just because it's been kind of beaten to death, but obviously we're running into some supply chain issues. We ordered our jackets a long time ago. We have not received anything. So Team Summit's official line is, please do not expect them for your first day on snow. The second that we do have jackets, we are eagerly trying to make sure that we can get those out to absolutely everybody. It's something that we always look forward to. We always get brand new jackets and we're super excited about that. But currently all of Team Summit's jackets are not going to be arriving for your first day on snow. Once again, small group. If we can just generally keep it between us, we're estimating sometime in January is when we're going to get stuff in. But once again, the second I make any official announcement on jackets, that date is going to change. So we really appreciate everybody's flexibility and patience with that. It's something that has been a very strong pain point for a lot of us in the administration. So
Well, thanks for the answer.
Yeah, no, not a problem. I wish I had a better answer or a more hopeful answer than that.
Do you guys have a ability to have donations, i.e. if we have jackets from prior years and there are new younger kids that might need it?
Yeah.
That's something you guys are doing.
No, and actually, yeah, I did leave out a small section there. If you are, and I'm just looking through everybody's list. Unfortunately, I'm not as familiar with everybody on this call, but if there's anybody who is brand new to Team Summit, and you do not have any kind of winter jacket whatsoever, please let me know, and we will make sure that we give you an old jacket. If anybody wants to sit there and toss out the option of, hey, we have a new jacket, it's unused, this is what the size is, feel free to share that with Daniel, and Daniel can pass that along to anybody who might be needing one of those jackets. We definitely encourage parents to work together, especially, I mean, the example I always use is we have plenty of families that are on the Front Range. While we do not have a coordinated carpooling system, please feel free to talk with each other and say, hey, we're all going up to the same training at the same location. Why don't we carpool? If y'all feel comfortable with that, we encourage that. But we will not facilitate anything like that. In terms of the jacket, if you want to donate it and bring it in, that's totally fine. I'm actually starting to see some requests for jackets coming in, so this is perfect. I will be following up with everybody. Thankfully, I'm recording this and can have access to the chat. So if you want to swing it by the office as a donation, I'm happy to help with that as well.
Jackets are always a fun thing to figure out this time of year. It's been a thing ever since I was an athlete, 10 years old, so never ends. So there's one more question here in the chat that I have not gotten to. Another tenuous question that always comes up, passes. So A-Basin passes are definitely guaranteed. And for those of you that have been around, you've probably noticed that the copper price has increased, the copper pass has increased. This is due to the fact that we get access to the competitor lane at Copper now, which we have not, hasn't even been an option in the past. Some families and other programs, they would buy the Fast Pass or whatever they called it. But now all Team Summit athletes, well, at least our program, everybody except intro programs gets access to the competitor lane. And for that reason, I highly encourage getting that Copper Pass. The Epic Local Pass, for those of you that intend on competing at Breckenridge in late March, I would definitely get that pass. But for those of you that are not, maybe hold off on that, and we'll just end up having to split training between A-Basin and Breck as we get into March, or Copper and Breck as we get into March. Once again, I know I say it, I wish I could fight it, I wish I could change it. I know that this is an expensive sport and that numbers just keep flying out of nowhere. And we really do try and keep the cost down and everything, but you know, that's my recommendation. A-Basin, Copper, if you're not doing the Breck competition, but if you're doing the Breck competition, get that one and the Copper Pass. Because I want to go ski more park this year and get everybody a little bit more comfortable in the air. That's a deficit we've had over the past few years. All right. Do we have any last questions before we end this? No, I see no nodding. I don't see anything in the chat. Okay, well, once again, I know I threw a ton of information. Everybody, how much snow will we get this year? It's going to be so deep. It's going to be the deepest winter on record. Oh, that's a good question. I'll send you an email, Reed. All right, no serious questions. That's good. All right, well, thank you everybody for tuning into this and listening to me ramble for a little over an hour. You guys get, athletes anyway, you get to hear a lot more of me this winter. but I'll send out another email kind of recapping what our weekend's going to look like and some just general suggestions for athletes and whatnot. So thank you to my coaches who checked in. Thank you to all the families. Thank you to Phil for answering the questions I hate answering. And let's make it a great year. If you have any other, important things like dire, please send me an email. I'm most responsive over email, not phone call or text unless it's scheduled beforehand. So that's what I got.
Daniel, what's your email address?
Oh, my email address is my name, Daniel, @teamsummit.org. Yeah, you can probably come to me about most everything. And if you're, I guess, upset with me, then you can email Chris Carson, chris@teamsummit.org. He's the free ski program director. So yeah, look forward to seeing everybody out on or actually a lot of you guys are going to be gone for this first weekend, but looking forward to seeing you, the ones that can make it this weekend, and then reconnecting the following weekend with everybody. Once again, check out the calendar on the Team Summit website. You'll be amazed how much information is on there. I've been just plugging away at it. So check that out. And yeah, other than that, I have soup to eat and I'm looking forward to it. Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to get out of here, everybody. You all have a good night and see you soon.